Hey everyone. So it's been a while since I recorded a video, and Elmsmore and I pretty much came up with the idea to talk about the current state of the game. Um, Thankfully, Kamikiro is joining us today, so let's welcome our guests. Let's start with Elmsmore. Say hello, please.
Hey, everybody.
And Kamikiro.
Hi, everyone. Um, it's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So I'm very happy to have you guys on this video as well. So we have four talking points for today, potentially more, depends on how the discussion is going, because this is kind of open-minded. Fair warning, this is more speaking to myself. We're keeping it PG-13 today. At least we're hoping to. Because I know I get a little bit salty when I talk about bad units and bad decisions from Gumi, so I'll try to keep myself calm today. So the very first topic I'd like to talk about is whether I'm actually quitting or not, because this has been kind of looming around, and I came to a decision. So if you don't want to go through all of this, and I'm trying to keep this brief because we have more important topics to talk about, is I really dislike Olive. She is a deal breaker because she's a JP unit. I feel like the only thing she's good at is damage, and the rest of it is trash. So she's no different than your average JP trash unit. Clash is too easy for me. I defeated the current Clash boss on the third attempt without knowing or having any idea what it does. And the game prior to the Facebook outrage felt rather boring already. But on the other hand, I do enjoy talking to other people in the community, the ones that are actually nice to me, not hating me for that matter. So the conclusion I came to in this really comes down to very certain people that really talked me out of this, like Sinsar, for example, a huge props, or well, if you're hating me, blame him to some degree that I'm not quitting. But since like 3 days in a row, he talked me out of it really. And Elmsmore also contributed, and many more people on the FFBE Discord. So yeah, I'm not entirely quitting, but I won't be playing the game as hardcore as I did in the past. So what this means for my channel is that you will still see videos for Clash, still some trial videos, polls, but mainly for actual global units, and I count those as Brave Shift units, and reviews. But reviews only for actual global units, so that JP crap won't see any review unless that JP unit is actually good, which there is none as of this moment. So yeah, I'm not entirely gone, but I will do a lot less videos. And with that out of the way, let's get to actually talking about the topics at hand, the Facebook outrage. So yeah, Amsmo, this is your segment basically. You came up with this. So would you want to start us off with the covering losses part here?
Yeah, so in the different discords that I'm part of, everybody's talking about what type of compensation or what they believe it would be. Some people are like memeing it with the 100 lapis, 150 lapis, 10 energy pots, and stuff like that. I mean, if it was just the one day, like the first day, end of the night, it was fixed, all right, fine. But then we hit the new week after the maintenance. We're losing the daily FF10 pulls. We're losing the shard dungeon. Like everything's listed there. Basically, we're losing our daily login. I'm sure they'll do something about that. But I'm talking about an adjust compensation, an adequate compensation for avid regular players, competitive players like myself, Kamikiro, Liv, and a bunch of other people who are compete in DV and etc. If it's not adequate compensation, we're left behind. We're going to be behind. Well, whales, we're not comparing to whales, right? We're not comparing to krakens. We're not comparing to old gods. They span, so no matter the loss, they'll always be ahead. That's fine. We're talking, the dolphins, the average spenders, the competitiveness there is going to be at a shorthanded for us. We're going to be behind them because they will have those extra Esper ores, those extra shard dungeon
Yeah.
shards to EX3, EX2, etc. units. So it has to come to a certain point where we, the people affected, not everybody in the game. If it's everybody in the game, sure, why not? I understand. But ideally, I believe it should be the people that are affected, the Facebook users that are affected, and it should be prompt and just compensation, like they used to do for the Korean version, like 5,000 lapis, maybe some tickets, some EX tickets, because we're losing those daily pulls, etc. So that's something that aggravates me because there's a lot of speculations about that, and there's a lot of mistrust with Gumi because their compensation, oftentimes, sadly to say, is a joke.
Yeah, I totally agree. What's your take on this, Kamikiro?
So the first goes first. There's some people that are not really clear who has the fault in this issue. If is it Facebook or is it Gumi? For me, at the end, it doesn't matter because if Gumi takes the job to give to Facebook the responsibility to deal with the login system, Facebook is some kind of intermediate where if Facebook fails in something, it's Gumi's fault anyway. So for those who's telling Gumi should do any compensation because it's Facebook fault, even if that's true, it's not the case. We're paying to play the game to Gumi. So anything that happens with the game, in this case, the not logging for the Facebook accounts is their fault. That's a fact for me. Okay. So about the compensation, I think there's two ways to watch the compensation for those things that we lost, and the one that I'm more in is that they cutting out a service that must be open for us. If you pay for something, I'm telling you as a middle spender who I am, if I'm paying for play the game. I need to the game to be open always with no issues. If there's any issues, Gumi always has to compensate. If the issue is small, the compensation is small. If the issue is bigger, like in this case, the compensation also must be good enough. So given all the things that we lost that I currently in your presentation, the daily chart, the daily explorer, that is the minimal that they have to give us. But for the fact that we are almost 3 days without being able to log in into the game, we must get more compensation. Like you were saying in the other versions, for even smaller issues compared to this, there are given even better compensation than what we usually get when something happens. We are really the mean around the 150 lapis is a joke, but it's also
Hmm.
sad because in many other games, even for small issues, the compensation is really good. And that's what Gumi should think. Uh, Many other games are doing pretty well when there is an issue. For example, I play a Genshin Impact and now Tower Fantasy. For a little mistakes, these games are being really kind and doing the things really well for those issues. So I think Gumi, in my opinion, should give as soon as the game is fixed for the Facebook users, give a good compensation. For example, 5,000 lapis. Maybe I'm being too cocky with that, but we need a immediately compensation. And after they consider, okay, what the players miss, the shards, the esperors, the pools. Okay, we are going to give to you those things too. But Gumi needs to say, okay, this was our mistake. The players are salty because they're not be able to play the game for those 3, 4, 5, 6 days. We need to do something immediately because I'm really sure that even with the problem is fixed, I will log into the game, and if they didn't if they don't give me anything for compensation instantly, I will still really salty. So I don't know. After that, each player particularly has to consider what will be. I don't know how to say this in English, but when you do something around a problem,
Hmm.
yeah, what are you going to do, guys? For example, if you are a high spender and you got this problem, and Google didn't give you anything to compensate that, what are you going to do? Will you keep spending a lot of money, or maybe you will spend a little more, or don't even spend any money for 2 weeks, 1 month. Will you quit the game? What are you going to do? Everyone has to keep that in mind for this issue. But I think I stand it too much, so that's what I think. It's Gumi's fault. They have to do something immediately, and then think what we're going to do next with all the stuff. Even they can say, "Okay, guys, we need you to all of you log into Google, for example, and give us some kind of tutorial. I don't know, or guide, or create in own system like JP has
Mhm.
for this problem, for because this is it should not happen anymore, this issue.
Yeah, you're making some very, very good points. And I'd like to add in on this that I feel like the communication side of Gumi was really, really bad this time around. Like in a situation such as this, where a tech company, which Gumi technically is, they should be out and about and communicating to the community like every hour of the day, in and out, just keeping us in touch. What is going on? What's the current status? And from what I've seen, there's been like one tweet, one Facebook post, or two tweets. I don't know for sure. And that's pretty much it. So we are entirely left in the dark. I don't even care who is at fault for this, whether it's Facebook or Gumi. I personally, I just want the game to run so I don't miss out on the things. But I'd like to know, where are we inside the solution process? Are we is Gumi done on their end and it's just up to Facebook, or is it up to Gumi because they've missed something on the certification side of things, for example? Because I know that's a thing with Facebook logins. But I totally agree with you, Kamikiro, that I feel like the best solution would be that Gumi has their own authentication process, like their own servers where they store all the data. And I'd like to add on this, because I've seen a few people on the Discord server wondering whether the data is gone. No, it's not gone. From what I understand, the data is entirely stored on Gumi's side of things. It's just that you bind your account to Facebook, so it authenticates your server data, but the data itself is just on Gumi's end, and Facebook just says, yeah, that's you. And that's pretty much it. So no matter how long this takes, whether it takes until Monday or a month from now, your data is still safe. And once they fix it, you will be able to play on your own account. Just don't make a Google account right now, because that might cause issues, and that'd be no bueno. I mean, Sinsor does his own runs with Razins, or I don't know, Sinsor backwards basically. So that still works, but you have to be careful not to lose your entire account. That's what I'm saying. And I'm just mildly annoyed by this. I haven't been playing much, but it's the day I wanted to ticket pull for Titus, so that kind of annoys me. I wanted to do daily shard dungeon, etc. So I'm like, yeah, I was touching grass a lot lately, so I'm not really that mad about the Facebook outrage, but still annoys me to some degree, because those daily Final Fantasy X pulls, I'd like to have those.
Yeah, I wanted to add one more thing too. Kamikiro is absolutely right. I should have mentioned it too because I have in the Discord in the previous days. Because Gumi is ultimately responsible. We're Gumi customers,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's just the authentication method. So it's exactly what Kamikiro said. So they, like I said, it's all about them being more transparent. Again, we've been asking that for years. They try and then they forget about it. So they have to give us better communication. They have to give us just compensation because again, a lot of us, not everybody, but a lot of us are spenders. They're
Mm-hmm.
making bank off of us. So they
Mm-hmm.
have to do something for the community to show that they care. Because I mean, ultimately that's it. Because I've been telling people personally. I said if the compensation is not just, I'm thinking of quitting myself, and I'm going to stand by it. Because I mean, I'm a guy who's going to be 100% in the game. Right now, I'm at 100% in this game. I spend like crazy. I play like crazy. I'm competitive. I love the community, and that's what keeps this game alive. And we've said it many times. All the
Mm-hmm.
streamers, everybody says the community is what's beautiful about this game. So show that. Show the appreciation for the users. Do your best for just compensation, no matter what you do. Like if Kamikiro is right, they could just be like, day one, boom. We're sorry. Here you go. For the rest, we'll think about it. We'll work on it, and we'll give it to you. But you know, again, give us the information. Give us ETAs. Give us updates. Do something.
I think just for giving a hand to Gumi in this case, maybe they're not sharing too much information because maybe, I don't know, most of the issue is in the Facebook hands. So they tell us we are working with Facebook to solve that. Okay, we can blame you around that, but I mean, the main issue, if we are going to be happy or will be really mad, will be when the problem is going to be already solved, because that's when Gumi is all dependent to him. What are going to do? They can blame Facebook after the problem is solved. It's all in their hands again. So they will give us a good compensation. They will give us a solution for potential problems around this in the future. Or they maybe will be like, okay, you missed that, take it and move on. That's what I don't want to. For me personally, it's not enough that they give us only the things that we miss the days. For example, the shards. That's not enough. That's just the company saying we don't care about the issue. Just take what you miss and that's it. I really don't take that.
Mm. So let's, I guess, move on to the compensation topic. Um, what would be your suggestions for compensation? Like you, Kamikiro, you mentioned that 5K lapis to start us off would be a proper and just solution. But is there anything else you'd think of, maybe?
Yeah. First of all, for me, they have to really know, and actually they already know, there's many other games around who I'm going to talk a little dark in here, that want us money. That's the truth. The company doesn't exist, doesn't live just for happiness, for good words. They work for money. If if we are the customers are not happy with a product, we stop spending, and that's what the company actually cares. So what are doing the other companies? I repeat again what I said before. What are doing the other companies when there's some issue? They give us really good compensation. And I, as a player from two other games, who I am already spending because those games are doing the things so really well. Well, Genshin not too much, but Tower is really good. I don't know if it's correct to compare, but at the end, those are the same things. Games who wants our money, they give us a game, and it must be as good as possible, including the content and the development and the issues even. So I think the first thing they need to know is that when they say we are discussing a compensation and it will be give to you in a later date, that's bullshit. That's bullshit,
Hmm.
bro. They know this is a really huge problem. They should give us around, I don't know, 40 or 50% of the total compensation in the first moment. And I'm telling you, 5K lapis. Because some people are saying, I don't know if that's true, that the problem only will be solved until Monday. So
Yeah, we don't know.
that's 5 days.
Mm.
Yeah. So maybe 5K just when we log in, that's the minimal. And I would say, okay, we're going to wait what they have to tell us in game, in the official media. I don't know, but we need in immediately compensation. After that, all the things that we miss, and in the third place, a possible solution for this problem decision not to happen anymore. I don't know, creating a own login system, just such as JP has, and for me, that's enough. The extension of everything that we miss in those 3, 4, 5 days plus 5K lapis, minimal. Minimal for me.
Okay. Hmm. Sounds fair enough, definitely. So, what would you like to see, Alms?
Yeah, pretty similar to what Kamikiro said. I mean, yeah, I agree that to me the lapis compensation should be minimum 5K. The reason I'm saying that is because let's say they can't compensate the daily shards. You know, they can't give it to your units or whatever. So if they don't do stuff like that, it has to be an adequate amount of lapis for us to be able to pull end result. And again, 5K lapis is one pull. Let's be realistic. That's one pull.
That's not even
Not
good
much.
enough. But that's why I say minimal.
Yeah, so that would be one thing because a lot of the things they won't be able to compensate, like I said, with the daily shards, the daily boss kills, some of the Esper ore stuff like that. But that's one thing they have to start with, and exactly like Kamikiro said, me, I expect I'm like I said, I'm competitive. I want everything to be like given to me. Absolutely, like I want Esper ore sent to my mailbox. Again, shards, I understand. So give me lapis, compensate for the loss of the daily shard. But I want my damn item world orbs because I already spend lapis to refresh item world. So give me every single hour of item world orbs I lost. Raid orbs. I'm competitive in the raid. I was top 50 in the ranking. I want my tickets. So adequate compensation, just compensation. Either give me the raid orbs or give me free tickets because that's what we rank in for. Plus the other rewards, like at our level, it's nothing. But at free to play levels or people that are just beginning, they need those cactuars, they need those gill turtles, etc. So that's all the stuff we lost. Plus, in the fact that you have a chance of getting omni prisms in the raid rewards, you have chances of getting tickets. And lately, I don't know if what they changed in their algorithm, but I've been getting a lot of omni prisms and tickets in the raids.
Yeah, same.
So these are rewards we're missing out on. So I want every single thing to be compensated for.
Yeah, I definitely agree on this. Now, let me be devil's advocate for a minute here. I think they could go a different road with this. Like, give us 1k lapis or 200 lapis for each day that is missed. But to solve the shard dungeon issue, they could hand us out um, tickets for shards, like a ticket
Yep.
for 5 shards of our choice, including all units, because we can technically pick all units and that be it. Now, the issue is that sounds pretty strong or good compared to what the people that are actually able to play right now, because they at max can get 3 shards per day, and that's super lucky. But I feel like that's still a fair compensation. It shouldn't be overdone, obviously, but I feel like that would be okay-ish to do because there is no solution to the daily shard dungeon issue. There is
Yes, it is. What
what?
about they give us the chance to do the daily shard 2 or 3 times a day to compensate every day?
Yeah, but does that work with the code base of the game where they can
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
specify those players on Facebook accounts they get to do daily shard dungeon twice or thrice per day for, let's say, 5 days if the outrage lasts 5 days? I mean that'd be an ideal solution, obviously, but
Yeah.
I have my doubts that they would touch the code
Yeah,
base
but
of the
that's why I
game.
said, sorry
But
for
compared with the shard tickets, I think that's pretty much better and easy option for me.
Yeah,
yeah,
Because
well, like I
if,
said,
if they give us tickets, they also had to tag the limited units included.
exactly.
yeah, but that's why I'm saying it should be at least comparable compensation. They could just give us
Yeah.
more lapis for it and say, well,
Yeah,
we're
sure.
sorry about the shard dungeon. Here's more lapis. Go pull. Something like that. And
Yeah.
again, the pulling is like 5K is just one pull, so and it's random. So whatever, but at least to say here is what we can do right now or as soon as possible. But that's really up to them to figure out. I just want it to be just compensation. I want it to be something that we can say, yes, we are satisfied. Thank you very much for this. At least because
Yeah.
Because the content is other stuff to talk. That's the main reason for most of the problems in this game.
and I want my daily streak. I've been
Yeah.
playing for over 1,700 days in this game. I want my daily streak because I don't want the next anniversary to get one ticket for my daily streak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get you. I have 1,800 or almost 2k daily streak, and I'd hate to lose that.
Yeah. And most of my community are also complaining about that.
But there is a precedent for this. That was once we had a 26-hour maintenance, and everybody thus lost their streak. But Gumi actually just fixed it by extending everybody's streak. So maybe they'll just do that again. That'd be cool.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah,
Yeah, but
because
if they,
it also happened when Apple went down. The Apple authentication
yeah.
server iOS went down. That went down for over 24 hours. They also fixed it for that.
Yeah, so if they don't, I will definitely send in the ticket because it wasn't my issue that I couldn't log in. I
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to. So yeah, I mean, other than that, definitely, I'd like to have all my raid ops that I missed. I don't care about item world. I hate item world, but I definitely understand where you're coming from, Elmsmore, and I take it. And for everybody who missed out on item world and who runs item world on cooldown, absolute bare minimum. So it has to be just. Now, what about the daily 10 pull? Because that's another huge issue because we are technically losing out on pulls versus everybody who is able to log in right now.
Uh,
So
that can be sold with tickets. That's
yeah,
it.
I was about to say that the 10 plus 1 with non-guaranteed, so the Neovision 10 plus 1 tickets that don't have the guaranteed Neovision, I think for each day missed, we should get one ticket of those.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, that's a minor issue for me. I was wondering around those players who complain, and I'm talking about those who actually been able to log into the game, because maybe some of them are telling that they are also affected for this issue. And the only reason I can say, okay, that's true, is for the bonus, for the companion, for bonus for the
Oh yeah.
Kinmog event. That's the only issue for them. That's the only the issue. So I'm so sorry, but those who were able to log into the game are a different story. They, for me, shouldn't be any compensate except for the, I don't know, currency in the raid and the kid mode,
Mm.
whatever. I don't know even the game that is currently up, but that's the only thing for them. Okay.
I agree with that. That the people should get the mocking currency as a compensation for those that can log in. I personally would have had two EX plus free walkers up for everybody on my friends list, but I can't. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree because a lot of people in the Discord like get laughing, like in the Reddit Discord and another Discord, like we're gonna get compensated just like you guys. No,
No.
I'm not
No.
competitive. I'm competitive. If you get my compensation, that still puts you ahead in the next DV, probably potentially ahead in the next DV or the next cow or whatever type of competitive event they're gonna throw at us. So no, that's not right. But I do agree that yes, what Kamikiro said, give them whatever 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 King Mock thing. That's whatever.
But if for some reason all the compensation goes to those affected that weren't played, is, I don't know. I will really happy because I will think in my community they're also kind, and I want them to do all the stuff. So if Gumi for some reason get the compensate to everyone, and not the only the Facebook users, I won't mind really.
Well, I would prefer they don't. But yeah,
Yeah,
at the end of the day,
I don't care.
it only exactly it only affects me if for DV, for example, again potentially it's a potential loss there. But at the end of the day, if the compensation's just, that's all that really matters to me. I'm just saying if the compensation is not just, that's if I decide to quit on my own end personally. And again, this is just our opinions. We're all
Yeah.
just voicing our opinions. People can say, I don't care what you're saying. That's fine. It's just our opinion.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, Go ahead, Kamikiro.
I'm telling that because I don't think the people who didn't get the issue with the lock should deserve the compensation. You definitely don't deserve the compensation, but if you get it, good for you. I don't want people to say, "Oh, Kamikiro is just selling that, just thinking in himself." And no, no, no. If Gumi for some reason that I don't believe give the compensation to everyone, I don't mind
Yeah, I'm in the
whatever the
same boat.
compensation is.
Yeah, I agree with that. I wouldn't mind if everybody got it. Now, totally understand where Elmsmore is coming from, that it might potentially affect Dark Vision rankings. And if it were me 2 months ago, I would probably in the same boat as him, and I would say, no, please don't give it to them. But from today's point of view, I wouldn't mind. I'm just sitting here thinking, I'd like to play the game at all, and that's what means to me the most, and not being able to play it's mildly annoying. Well, I don't think Final Fantasy X is all that great. It's Zoomer bait. Don't quote me on that. But I just like to play the game a little bit. And if everybody gets the compensation, well, okay, I don't mind.
And I'm telling you that even so, there's a lot of people in my community that are pretty sure if they get the compensation, are going to me selling, haha, I got the compensation, haha. Even so,
Yeah, it's probably going to be
because
I mean,
yeah,
there's
my
gonna be
community as
trolls
well.
all the time. There's trolls right now. People are like laughing. I'm on Google. Why didn't you switch to Google? Trolling, is trolling. That's fine. Whatever. I don't give a shit about that. Again,
I
part.
don't care. I love my community, so I
We'll,
don't care.
we'll be able to move on if we're justly compensated, if they show more effort, just a little more effort. We're not talking about a company that's making $10 an hour. We're talking about a company that's making millions a month. Still, to this day, this game, FFBE Classic, still gives millions a month to the company.
And,
So they have to show some effort and some work.
and they're doing it with a lot less effort than other companies, because most of the content, around 90%, is portrait for the JP version.
That's correct, yeah.
Only Clash of Wheels is
True.
the only thing. Clash of Wheels and the translation are the only things that they do. The only things.
Yeah, and
So
some Black stuff like COV when we get it. When we get it, I've been
Yeah.
promised every month since 3 years ago, and they delivered what, like 6 or 7 COVs. SBBs were promised again on the last anniversary starting November. We got one. They promised SBBs every month since last year.
and in the worst scenario that Gumi is not doing enough money with either thing, Clash of Wheels, I think that the first week of Clash of Wheels give enough profits to compensate all the spend in the design of Clash of Wheels. So where is the other money?
I think
Yeah,
The
actually
other
the other
units, the
money.
garbage unit, the other 2 weeks of the month. Where is it?
NFTs.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Exactly.
that's the reason why. Oh, I see. So
Yeah.
yeah, I will be really past this dark episode if the compensation is good enough. That's it. Because we're not telling, okay, you can do mistakes, you can do issues, Gumi. You're not. No, issues can happen. So the only thing that we can complain at the end is what they do about it, and the compensation is the only way to see what are they doing, because they're not doing such great content. They are not going to bring us Chamber of the Arms Part 2. They're not give us back the Lightning Titan 2.0 because of this. No, they will do still the same things, the same content constantly. So the compensation is the only thing to handle this for me.
Yeah. And I guess we can now talk about the future of the game, which is rather interesting because, like you mentioned, other companies are doing things very, very differently, more open minded, more generous, especially than Gumi. And I would almost argue that this is because within the product life cycle of the game, it's 6 years in after all. It's just that Gumi probably is just so an auto drive mode for the game. We just copy paste whatever JP did. Once a month, do your monthly global unit with Clash of Wills, which is great content. Don't get me wrong on that. And I really enjoy Clash of Wills, even though it has been really, really easy lately. But I feel like that's too little. But apparently it still works out. The game made over 1 million, according to Sensor Tower, during the anniversary month. So it still does really well. But I feel like they dropped the ball real hard after the anniversary. So this pretty much goes to the future of the game. What are we expecting? Are we expecting more trashy global SLB units? Will they become better? I really hope that they took everything that people said about Olive to heart and improve on future SLB units. I don't think that the SLB units that are coming out within the next few months will be affected by this because for all we know, these units are pretty much done within months in advance. So I don't think they'll be ready to be changed. But those that are probably next year, they could change that based on the feedback that they've gotten. And I really hope they do because glass cannon units such as Olive, they die immediately once the boss actually ignores Omnicover. And that's probably happening. Or something like a chromatic wave. We all remember that, right? And a
Hmm.
unit such as Olive will never survive a single chromatic wave. She has no safe form to hide in, and that's I feel like they really did such a bad job on Olive to not remove the issues that have that is a very, very glaring with SLB units, and that is survivability and flexibility especially. And I really hope they address this with future SLB units. So, or is your guys' take on the future of the game? Does it get better, worse? What would you like to see, and what would you not like to see, especially?
Elmsmore, you first.
Oh, thank you. Sure. I mean, I don't mind SLB units that much, but yeah, if they could be just a bit more balanced. I mean, in some cases they can be glass cannons if they're like the most meta damage unit. That's fine too, right? So I don't mind SLB units that much personally. It doesn't really bother me as long as the unit's interesting. Because at the end of the day, it's just a choice to pull or not, right? So it's your choice if you want to pull on the unit or not. So that portion really doesn't bother me. As far as the game getting better or worse, that's really up to Gumi. I mean, this game has infinite potential. It's not a new franchise. Final Fantasy, amongst other Square Enix titles, have been around since late '70s, early '80s. So there is potential. So it really depends on them. There's a lot of things I'd like to see, but everybody has their own thoughts of what they want to see and what they want implemented in the game or units, collabs, and stuff. There's a ton. That's really just up to Gumi to decide, and I hope for the best. Does it get worse? I mean, it can. Obviously, it can. Again, that really depends on them because there's so much stuff they could do. Like one thing that I'd like to mention that the JP version does that the global version doesn't do is reruns. For the possibility of getting items that you might have missed, reflectoring.
Oh
That's
yes.
the that's the one that I regret the most, having sold that thing. But that's one thing that is live on the JP version that they do regularly reruns. So that's one thing I'd like to see. The rest would be up to them to decide, and hopefully they decide for the best.
Okay. Lindell, you were telling something early that it really sounds in my head. You're telling that around the SLB unit, Olive, that
Yes.
Gumi, maybe with the feedback, there is something in the future. Maybe the thing that I think you want is no more SLB units anymore. But
Yes.
that's in a perfect world. The only way that Gumi won't do any SLB units anymore is that when Olive came, the sales, the money, we're getting into the trash. Low sales. If
That's right.
people complain about SLB units, but they spend for the EX3 100, 1000, I don't know, that won't solve the problem because Gumi only cares about the profits. You guys tell anything you want around a unit. It's trash. It's only working for this content. There's other units, but if the unit, because it's a new unit, it's not like, for example, the Titus that just came out. They just portray for free, so they actually don't have to worry about if it sells or not. But for Olive, if they see that Gumi knows that the week of the month that they get the best profits, I think is Clash of Wheels week. So if Olive sells a lot, even more than, for example, I don't think so. But if for some reason she sells more than Sylvie or Wilk, they will still doing SLB units in the future. Don't doubt about it. So the
That's
only
right.
way to deal with this is not spending money with this kind of units comes. But most of the people, for example, say, oh, Olive's cute. I miss Olive from the 2017, 18, I don't remember. I will pull for the unit just because it's Olive. Okay, you can do it. You're free to do it. But if someone says, okay, I really don't like this unit, I don't want to do this, but I will spend $1,000 to pull her to EX3 and 5 XTMRs, you're not doing anything to solve the problem.
That's
That's what
absolutely
people
right.
need to know. And it's not only going to Wells, it's going for little spenders because Gumi only checks that with, okay, people did the pay. For example, I'm not a whale, but sometimes with a unit, I really like the unit. I do I don't remember, $10 pool. Who gives you like 10 shards, 25 shards? I don't remember
Yeah,
if it's
I think
20 or 25.
I think it's 12 or 15 euros slash dollars, but I don't remember. I can't even look it up right now. I usually don't
Okay,
look at
okay.
prices, but I think it's around that
Don't
ballpark.
Okay, those kind of pools. Maybe wells always do that, but for middle or low spenders such as myself, we do those pools, and only if we all are, for example, the middle and low spenders are telling no, we're not going to spend any penny on this unit. In some way the profits will go down, and that's the way that Gumi says, okay, we were not going to do. Of course the feedback is good, but the feedback is always have to come with the hand of a way to do that, to make the sales for Gumi reflected the problem. Yes, that's what I think. The game is going better or worse. Unfortunately, is getting every day worse. I need to be honest with you guys. I It's been like 5 or 6 times that I quit the game, but I always came back not for the game, for the community, because
Hmm.
the community is awesome. The Hispanic community is the best. I'm so sorry, guys, but those guys are so awesome that it's still in the game because of them. For example, since I is uploading the new player experience, if
Hmm.
you ask me, I will do a video like that doing, oh, are you a new player? Please don't play this game. Please don't play it.
Yeah,
If,
I'm in
if
the
you are
same
a low,
ballpark.
if you're an old player such as me, because I started the game 4 months after the release in 2016. Okay, you're stuck with me. You're stuck with me in this. But for new players, no, there's a lot of better opportunities out there to spend your to spend your time, to spend your money. I'm sorry, I won't play this game today being a new player. So yeah, what is the way to solve? For example, many people are complaining about our visions not being capable. But let's be real. Is there any reason, is there other reason to whale in this game? It isn't for dark visions. Dark visions is the only competitive way. You literally say yourself, Clash of Wizards is really easy. And for most of the whales that had all the units ES2, EX3, it's really easy. It's not a competitive game. There's no such a reason to whale in this game. Dark Visions is the only reason to whale. What was the problem with Dark Visions? Gumi gave us the rank one possibility a long time ago, like 1 or 2 years ago. And the
Hmm.
people start to say, okay, this Dark Vision, that Dark Vision that was capable for everyone was the best.
It was,
No,
yeah.
dark visions always had to be competitive. Always. No sharing rat one, because that's the content that are really pulling the hard spenders to spend. So for me, the issue that was with dark vision was like, okay, this is how dark vision should be from the beginning. I know most people were really when you do something once and once and once and once. I forgot the word.
Repetitive.
So the physical always was capable, the magical too. So they given us a magic scenario, no capable. Of course, there will be a lot of people to complain around that. But for me, dark visions needs to be. I don't think. I think it's too late to do dark visions really competitive. But I think that dark visions always had to be competitive since the beginning,
Yeah.
and that's one thing to solve the dark visions problem. But what about the other guys? What about me? That my biggest interest in this game is trials. I like to do trials a lot. And the sad news is that the trials that are coming from JP are so power crafted, are so in many times it's boring to do. I
Mm.
remember, for example, the old trials were really, really satisfying for me. And something clear, trials are not a content for being a whale. Yes, that there's not the reason for whale the trials, but that's what most like about this game ever. I miss the Chamber of the Arms era so much. I love that content so much, but that's content that had a different focus compared to Dark Visions, compared to Clash of Wills. Clash of Wills is perfect what it is.
Hmm.
Sharing rank one, the I it's not perfect. Sorry, they should decrease the X level 14 or 15. Yeah, and do the boss a little harder. I share that opinion for you with you, but Clash of Wheels is in most of his things good. Yeah, but what about trials? What about the problem with dark visions? I don't know. Maybe you have different opinions about dark vision. Maybe you like the way dark visions has been since the beginning, or maybe since dark visions 13 that started the no capable era, if I don't remember correctly. But there's so many. For example, the 4-star trials. That was such a cool idea that I heard on JP. And they never come in global. For
True.
example, trials where only you can bring 5-star base units or max 7-star units. The people will be really happy with that.
Yeah, I think so
Most of
too.
my community say, "Oh, I really like a trial where, for example, the fixed trial, Telfusanis was great." Most of the people enjoy more the fixed trial with the fixed units than the free trial, Telfusanis. So maybe give us some really good trial. No discredit. For example, the Final Fantasy there's that 10 that you have to kill in 2 turns. What is that shit? That's not
Yeah.
content.
Yeah. But
Maybe if you put the trial with fixed units and around 5 to 8 turns to clear it with a good strategy, people will be happy for that.
Yeah.
A fixed version, for example. And I know I've had a bunch of ideas, but I want to tire you guys here. But we are with my community, we're discussing now a lot of ideas for FFB. That looks like if the global community doesn't pay are not paying too much attention for part of Gumi, the Hispanic community such less. So that's really sad.
yeah, I'd like to add on one thing about the trials mainly. And I feel like could do two things. One for the 12 race trials that they are just popping over. What I would hope is that they just increase the stats such that we can just ODK bosses. Like I did Belphegor in I believe 3 or 4 turns. I one-shotted it with Chizuru for that matter, and I felt like, wow, that's a JP trial that everybody was talking was super hard. You'd bring her in Noah, and she had to be super mandatory for this. Ended up not mattering at all. And for the current Final Fantasy X trial, I think there's one where you have to use Final Fantasy X units. And I know that there was a different one that had Final Fantasy, I don't know, was it the Final Fantasy 12 one? Exactly. I know that because since I was complaining about to me in DMs that he doesn't have Van or Balfir for
Hmm.
that matter, the idea would be to give a fixed version of this. So you have, even if you don't own the units, you get them for free for this specific trial. You can use them, fixed gear and all that, and you have to beat
Hmm.
these trials with the fixed gear. That would be an easy solution such that everybody could do the trial, get the rewards, even though if they don't have the units. And that'd be fair, that'd be decent. It'd be a challenge. They could make it challenging, which would be even better. But I feel like just slapping this in, say, if you don't own Van or Balfir, well, tough luck, come back when you have them. And I feel like that's just bad game design.
Well, one thing that I'd like to add to what you both are saying is that telephonitis, that was my favorite. That was absolutely my
Yeah.
favorite. You had 3 different versions of it. You had the fixed trial, and then you had the ones where you made your own team, and then you beat the whole thing with your own team. That was so good. I would really, really like a new version of that. As far as anything else goes, it's very, very hard. Again, it's up to Gumi to work it out, but it's very, very hard to do something. Yeah, increasing the stats and stuff, sure, why not? But in some situations, it's more difficult because I think, like Kamikiro said, I think Cow is at a good place. It's not perfect, but it is at a good place, even if it's easy to rank one. But because we did complain and they made it shareable again, because if you remember those 2 Cow trials we couldn't share rank, everybody was complaining about it.
I
So
wasn't.
it's impossible. Yeah, well, yeah, but it's impossible to make everybody happy. That's the problem. It's impossible to make everybody happy, but it's the company's responsibility to find the right middle point. What can we do to make something, something better, or what improvements or what new thing? But if they bring another telephonitis type trial, that would be so cool. And me too, I was complaining when Global never got the 4-star dungeons. Oh man, I would
Mhm.
have loved to have that because I have all these trash units in my inventory that take up space that I have to keep selling every week. But boy, that I would like to use them.
I have a question for you guys. Do
Yes.
you like the HP lock mechanic?
I think it's fine, yeah. I don't mind it, honestly. It forces us to actually do the fight properly as it was designed. But what I dislike is, for example, for the current Clash boss, is that the HP lock is just there to keep you from one-shotting it. It is just not serving any purpose other than slowing the fight down. I really liked, for example, the threshold, the 50% threshold on the Dreamer boss, where he slapped you and then where he slapped all your units and then attacked your units. You couldn't do anything about that attack just to wake you up. And that I found that a really cool flavor thing, and I'd love if they do more of this because as it is right now, that applies to the last clash and this clash. The 50% threshold was just there because it had to be there, and it didn't serve any purpose other than the boss buffing up. And I
Mhm.
feel like that's a little bit too lazy.
Yeah, same for me. I think if you're gonna put in an HB lock, put it like a threshold event point, like they have for some in the past, some DV bosses, some other trials, 80%, 60%, 40%, etc., etc., etc. But just for there to be not one shotting the boss, I mean, it's just stupid.
Because I really like the HP lock, and I'm going to rise the bet. I actually like so much when a boss has 2 or 3 HP locks,
Me
but do
too.
something with that. I'm
Yeah,
telling you that because I heard from Sincere that he doesn't like at all the HP locks. So maybe a good part of the community will not be happy with future content having multiple HP locks. But it's true that it's really artificial. That's what he say. Um, but I think that's the only way for even whales or taking your best or your best in your party, doing a fight interesting enough.
yeah,
Because
exactly.
Yeah,
They need to be. It shouldn't just be there to not one shot the boss. Like you said, they have he has to have a counter attack or some kind of threshold ability that we're gonna be. Oh shit, my team is fucked. Like again,
Mhm.
sorry, pardon my French there. But like, what was that boss? Where it's like on the threshold, he was zombieing your whole team and then healing your team and stuff like that. That's a challenge. It's
yeah,
like, oh my god, he zombied me. Oh my god, he killed all my units because he put life or cure on my team.
exactly.
For
And
example, a concept for a boss that I really hate is one that they gave us to Morgana. That after technically it's impossible after the first turn, the fifth turn, that you had Morgana broken stat. The only way to have is the stats broken on her is the first 5 turns with the Obsidian Bracer, and
mm,
after that, it's technically or you dodge, or you guts, or you resist. That's it. And I think Morgana for a was kind of a good opportunity to do a decent trial, but they take it away just for the decision to make her unable to break. Of course, you can break the defensive stacks to one burst, but she didn't. I don't know if you know guys, but she always cures the
yeah,
her
she does.
status breaks at the start of the turn. So that's kind of okay. What I'm going to do now after that is what I tell you: just guts, resist, or dodge, and that's kind of boring for me.
Mm.
Even though I did a fast clear on that trial in a whale mode, of course. But I think for the content, bring back concepts like chamber on their arms. I really want the chamber of the out, or at least the concept of the 10-man trial to came back. I really love that era, and I don't know if even Alien. I mean, Alien is not interesting. Alien only cares about dark visions. The JP version still goes on only with dark visions.
Hmm. But
And
I think
global, maybe if Clash of Wills didn't exist, I don't know what would build this game, because Clash of Wills is the only content that most of the players says, okay, that's the reason why I play this game right now. So I don't know what they're going to do. If they're going to keep only with Clash of Wills, Darvish, the same stuff, or they are going to make new content or bring back the old concepts without depending of aliens' decisions.
Well, they have
I don't know.
COV on global, and I love COV. Like I said, I just hope they gave more COV because at least COV. I mean, some people just replace one unit and just keep killing it over and over and over again. But I love COV so much. I like to make unique teams for each of
Mhm.
those 5 kills. So that brings me a lot of pleasure. So COV, I really, really, really like.
So
Amongst again other stuff that we're missing, like again, bring me another telephonitis trial anytime. I love that shit.
I have good news for you, though, Kamikiro. I distinctly remember that the JP devs said in one of the very, very past live streams that they will be reviving the Chamber of Arms once the 12 race trials are done. And they are done now. So, technically speaking, within the next few months, we should see the return of the Chamber of Arms. And eventually, hopefully, it'll come to global, which might be still a year off, but there is a chance.
You know what is the problem around that?
It will
Most
be
of the
power
JP
corrupt.
units, no, most of the the JP units are designed specifically for dark visions.
Yeah, that's
If you
true.
watch those units, there are one Magnus with big amplify, bit imperil, I don't know, and then after the burst, the unit is crap.
Mm.
So in JP on JP, I really want to see if they're going to bring a new meta focus on those trials, those Chamber of the Arms 2.0, or maybe the people, the JP players that are different, that go the global players, the perspective is totally different. We always complain about JP units coming to global because our meta is way behind. And in JP, the trials, for example, were really harder because of that, and
Mm.
people were I think happy because the units were balanced with the trials, at least for the most part. But in global, we're like these JP trials are not designed for global units.
Yeah.
So okay, they will do the chamber there's 2.0, but when it comes to global, it will be as close as fun as it was before in the past with the past meta that I love Chamber of the Arts because we cover all the meta from the 4-star, the 5-star, and I don't know, the Neo Vision didn't came with Chamber of the Arts, the last ball release, right?
No,
No,
no.
no. The last era was 7 star for the last boss, the one with the clock and the hours and stuff.
Okay, so 5-star, 6-star, and 7-star were meta on Chamber of the Arts 2.0. I remember that, for example, myself, I did all the 12 trials with Queen only as main DPS and 5 units. And I will never forget that shit. I will have maybe 80 years. I will still remember the thing that I did the Chamber of the Arms. Maybe that's just me. I'm just really,
No,
um,
you're right. It has to
really
be
nostalgic.
Valid
global. It has
point.
to be balanced for global because our meta is so far ahead from the JP meta. It's insane. Every JP unit we get is garbage. But I mean, they did announce recently that they have plans to make JP units changes for some JP units to make them give them morale abilities and stuff like that. So maybe if they do changes for the units, maybe they're gonna do changes for the trial. But it's something we have to hope for. It's unknown. I mean, I hope that they make it a bit more challenging, but it's very difficult for them to get it balanced so that all people can enjoy it. But they have to find the right balance for it.
You know
You
what?
know why? I'm sorry.
Go. Yeah, I just like to bring one point across, and I'm just low key kind of hoping that if JP brings back the Chamber of Arms, they also introduce a new rarity type to replace Neo Vision units because I feel like they've maneuvered themselves into such a weird corner that it's every 10 days they spin the element wheel, just copy pasta the latest unit and just do it all over again so that they do a new rarity type, whatever it is, call it 8-star, call it 9-star, whatever, and start doing decent units with these 10-man trials in mind, such that they actually are forced to have decent kits again. Just like you, Kamikiro, said, Most units, they have one big Grandis that does everything. For some units, take Edgar, that Grandis is useless for his jump because the jump outlasts the
Mhm.
amplification, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life, but here we are. And I just hope they do a new rarity type because what is coming from JP is just so bad. It's just not worth pulling if you are a value pull type of guy. I mean, if you're well, you're pulling every day or every time every week, regardless. But for value pull people such as Sinsar, for example, he only pulls on units that are actually good, even on the JP server. I feel like a new rarity type could somewhat revive the game on JP. For global, I think we're safe with our mostly good units minus Olaf.
You know what Ersmore was telling before around the JP units getting buff on global. The main issue around that for me isn't really Gumi know that JP units in global are considered most of them trash to do something about it because
Yeah.
the new vision meta is already 2 years up
Mhm.
and they already know when they start to do global original neovisions that most of the JP units didn't get any bother for most of the players. For the meta, the more hardcore players, spenders, yes, they spend a lot. But for most of the people, didn't even pay attention to them. So why is the point that just because in the last stream someone asks about that JP unit is not getting buffed for global for Clash of Wills especially they didn't even they didn't even think about that at this point even
Yeah.
I I maybe I the real developers are really disconnect from what the meta on the global is. I don't know if I don't know how it works, or maybe there's a kind of contract that Gumi can touch and renew the JP units. It has to come original, such and JP were released. I don't know, but many time ago the JP units will had to come with buffs for me
Yeah.
because they are really irrelevant. Most
No,
of them,
I
of
was
course.
absolutely.
I
I
was
absolutely agree with you, but it really depends on Gumi, like you said. Like that's something that's out of our control. It's something we can only hope for the best. Sadly, that's the real fact on that. It's just that we can just hope for the best because I mean, like everybody else and other streamers mentioned too, we play because it's Final Fantasy. I mean, fine, global originals, great, love you for that, but we play because of the classic units.
Yeah, and to add on that, I find it so weird that Titus wasn't buffed at all. Like there is absolutely no reason to pull for him, because his STMR doesn't work on 99% of the units, not even on the units that we're about to get in an upcoming months from JP because they have that effect baked into their kit. So them not updating the STMR to work with morale, even if it was nerfed to 50% of the actual value. I find that so weird. Like, what are they hoping to sell Titus with? Is it nostalgia? Because it doesn't work for me. For example, I don't like Final Fantasy X, so they lost me as a customer for that one, for example.
Mhm.
One thing that bugs me though is the frames. Oh my god, the frames!
Oh
Like I
god, yeah.
saw Kamikiro do a video on how he perfectly chains Baltier, but
Both here.
He's amazing. Me, I'm not that great. So like DV, I was trying to be top 10. I don't even know my score yet. I'm still waiting to see the final scores. But I've been trying to get the top 10 and do those chain frames. Oh my god!
Yeah, I was
So
raging on those
I think they
Balthier
should
frames
fix.
too.
That's just in my case because I really practice a lot. I've been playing in that way with weird chaining movements. Technically, since the second year, so I really had too much practice for that. But I know that most of people that don't do that was is pretty normal to have that issue.
Yeah,
I
so they should
understand.
fix the chain frames because it's not just Baltier. Even Titus has weird chain frames on his LB. So there's a lot of units. So like you guys said, they should come with some sort of a buff, but at the same time, they should foresee buffing content adequately to offer some sort of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because there's too many good players in this game. So all those good players, they're gonna share their strats, and everybody, all the people that don't come up with their own strats, are gonna be like, "Oh, this is boring. It's so easy," because they copied off all the amazing players.
But
True.
by definitely going back to the Darvish and stuff, I think the even with the decision that they made around the units or Clash of Wheels or content, there must be a content that is really competitive. I think Darvisions, the way that only you go to the final boss and every top 10 makes the same party,
Hmm.
the same set party, and do variance farm. That's, I don't know if that's why you call that, but farming variance. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe Wells can tell me if that's funny for you, but I think
Truth be
Darbitions, I will really like, for example, the Darbitions that I don't remember the number, but there was three bosses, each one with a different element weakness, and none of those three were capable. For me, from a perspective of competitive player, that Darvisions was great on JP because I was watching Diddley Darvisions when they came out to JP, and there was some top 20 players that came with crazy strategies for one a particular element. For example, I saw that the guy who gets the first the best score on the siren that was electric, Thunder element, use Queen. It's not because he used Queen, all right? It's because it was crazy to see Queen in the top tier, you know. And
yeah.
if you, he showed me all most of the top tiers, and everyone was a different party, and most of them didn't even get the best composition. There were the top 20, none of that got the same composition, such as in global derivation happens, that everyone has the same composition for the final boss. That's what I didn't complain around the derivations problem last time, because as I told you, that's what derivation should be. Not capable, all right? Not 20 billions, no capable at all. But that's for me, because I see that derivation is the only competitive content in this game, and it has to be a competitive content. Yeah, we are good people. We like to share for trials, for Clash of Wheels, but we really need a competitive content as close as we can, because this game is not competitive design. If we talk seriously, but this must be some way for me to do that.
Yeah. Um, I'd like to address one thing about the variance rolling. Truth be told, and that's just me. I was top 10. I was 10th place in the Dark Vision 3 months ago. And
Mhm.
I know that everybody in the top 10 was literally rolling with macros. So the way we do this, we set up a macro that runs about 9 to 10 minutes on PC. If this really depends on how good or bad your PC is, it tends to break, but it's annoying. But you don't run it personally. So what I would do is I would go either to work or sit in front of my desk with my PC in front of me and just click that button, have that macro run for 8 hours straight, and not play the game myself, but have the macro play. And I would roll variants. I would just have screenshots taken even with the macro to just know, okay, when did I hit a new high or low, just to have that information. That pretty much everybody does that in the top 10. It's an open book secret in that case. But
Mhm.
what really grinded my gear last Dark Vision is, and that's contrary to what you said, is I hate rolling variants on more than one boss. I totally get where you're coming from, that there's more variety to the clears at hand, but if I have to run variants on a magic boss or physical boss next to the final boss, which is uncapable regardless, I'm just like, oh, why do I really have to grind variants on that boss with that team, which is best in slot anyway? And I feel like that's partly to blame for the meta that we have, but I'm not feeling bad about it. I'm
Mhm.
glad that we can just reduce the clutter and the time spent on sub bosses, which I feel like are irrelevant anyway. I would prefer, to be honest, if there was just one boss in Dark Visions, like Clash of Worlds, that is uncapable. You just run it for 2 weeks straight, and that'd be it. That'd be my personal ideal. That'd be fine with me, and I would enjoy that still, even though I'm not
Okay.
actively playing. That's
But
that's just
one thing
me.
that I'd like to mention about variance is I despise variance. I want it to go
Same.
away. I'm a top 10 ranked player too, well, sometimes. not always, because I don't play variants. I hate variants. I'll do 5 attempts maximum because I have no choice if I want to be competitive. But I despise variants. If variants could just leave the game, and then the tactic could be more about team synergy, like you want, Kamikiro. You want to be
Mhm.
able to use different units. So if variance is gone, it's not always about the meta unit. It's about your team synergy and what you can do with those units.
Mhm.
That's a good point.
Or
Yeah.
even so, I don't know if it, for you guys it's a good idea to bring back those kind of trials where you always get penalized by for damage. For example, the Bahamut derivation, that it was
Oh yes.
competitive ranking, and you have to build your tank. I remember some of you build Cecil or Charlotte, some of the top tier, and with Charlotte, Secret Shield Charlotte, being the high score composition. So you have to balance between getting enough bulk to take the less penalty as possible, and at the same time getting so much damage to compete with other players. I think that was a good idea, but I know for you the really competitive territory guys, maybe you have a different opinion, and that's completely good.
Yeah.
No,
It's
that was a good mechanic. I thought that that did add to the challenge because not everybody's going to build their tank the same way. Not everybody's going to use the same tank. So yeah, that's. But again, ultimately, that's my personal want. Variants to go away, and then you can focus on team synergy all you like. But obviously, DV is not the best content, anyways. Like my focus really, I love Clash the way it is, Clash of Wales, and I really like COV. So that's where I have my fun, and I want more independent trials that are more up to date, not just copy paste from JP. But we'll see what happens.
indeed. But I think this is pretty much a good ending point. We are already more than 1 hour in. I'm sure we could talk about on end about this, but yeah. So there is a lot of potential in the game. I would totally agree with you guys, but it actually depends on what Gumi does with it. So yeah, I'm really happy to have you had on this video. Any closing comments from you guys? Elmsmore, would you start this off?
Well, my closing comments is just to thank you both. Kamikiro, I join your live streams. I try to talk to you in Spanish, but my Spanish is, I don't have enough practice. It's not that great. But I love being
Oh,
on live streams. You're awesome. I really appreciate what you do with the community, not only the Hispanic community, but the community as a whole. Same thing for you, Liv. You're awesome. Yeah, I mean, streaming is not easy. Coming up with ideas, content, and you have your PowerPoints, Liv, etc. So both of you, really appreciate you guys, and I hope to see more content from you guys.
Thank you.
oh. Okay, thank you, you both guys, for the invitation. I'm really always open to do some kind of content like this, because principally I really enjoyed it. So yeah, I hope you two guys have in other opportunity to do more stuff. I will really be glad to invite you to my streams, but you have to speak Spanish, so I'm sorry.
Well, you
I
can
don't speak
invite
So
me.
yeah.
Spanish.
You can invite me, but you have to be really, really slow with me.
Well, we'll see because people always tell me, "Oh, you have to buy sensor. Oh, you have to buy Elvid Deli. You have to buy those." But I told them they are not to speak in Spanish. So maybe doing a stream in English will not like you to most of you guys. So I can do that. But of course, if someone wants to have me as a guest for one of the videos, I will definitely will be glad to accept the invitation, such as this.
Yeah.
Even that my English is not too good to spend fluent as I want, because in Spanish I talk too fast and I like it, but in English I can't do that. So yeah.
Oh, your English is perfectly fine. I could understand you easily. So,
Oh,
props to you.
Yeah.
thank you.
I know from myself that it's not not easy to speak a secondary language. If, for example, yours is Spanish first, mine is German first, but I'm
Yeah.
still speaking English. And I know because I know I speak two more languages, Japanese and Korean as well, and I know how hard
Oh,
it is. So,
yeah. I only speak English and Spanish, so yeah.
but that's
Hey,
great.
help me with my Spanish. I'll join your stream whenever you want, Kimikiro. Yeah, but I speak
But don't
Spanish.
blame me. Don't blame me if I don't see you, because most of the time I I don't pay attention to the chat because I'm thinking in other things. My brain is too slow for some things. So I'm so sorry. You have to tell me,
No,
hey, I'm here.
speak to the community as well on your chat, so that's perfectly fine. I understand you're busy, you're doing your thing. But
Yeah.
if you ever invite me, you'll see how my Spanish is. My Spanish, I would say, is almost as good as your English.
Oh, okay, okay, that's pretty good.
Wow.
I actually are starting for the 1 or 2 months ago. I start to bring guests to my lives on Wednesday, and I like that kind of idea. I always have like 2 or 3 guys to talk about the news and such as, for example, Since does, but longer. Yeah.
Oh.
So maybe if
You
it's
know,
an opportunity you want to join me there,
you,
I will ping you.
you know what doesn't require language? You can invite me and live for a pool battle. That doesn't require language.
Oh,
True.
oh yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
But I had to, but for now, Gumi, I'm not going to spend any penny on this game. All right. So don't wait for a pool battle soon.
I'm just
That's for
saying it
Gumi.
right now, and that's gonna be my closing comment. Gumi, do Tsukiko, Bray shifted unit, and I'll spend money again. That's my last word for today. So thank you all for watching. I know this is a long video, but I hope you guys enjoyed nonetheless. Thank you again very, very much for Elmsmore and Kamikiro for today. And with that, see you next time. Bye bye.